What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from Pink Tourmaline. And we're covering a topic today that I didn't even know was a topic. We're talking about somebody that I didn't even know existed or anything about him until 2 days ago. And I found out because of one of you guys watching, let me know about this gentleman in the comment section. So thank you once again for continuing to direct me, everybody out there, on this path that is just weaving and winding and going all over the place. But I'm here for it. And this is just so utterly fascinating. We're going to talk about Max Spiers today. And Max Spiers, I'm going to read this bio in a moment, but man, I've been trying to find information about him. It's hard to find stuff on YouTube about him. I found like this weird BBC 3 or 4 part documentary, but I didn't really love it that much. So I wanted to find just a long form interview of Max Spiers to really hear some of his ideas, not a biography that was narrated by somebody who was a bit unsure of Max's the things that Max was saying. Like I didn't want it because it seemed like a very, I don't know if bias is the right word, but the BBC thing that I found, they seemed very unsure of anything that he was saying and calling a lot of things into question. I just wanted to hear him speak. I wanted to see what he sounded like, if he sounded authentic, at least in what he was saying, regardless of how we can verify this, that, and the other. And like I've said on this channel before, I do pride myself and I do trust in myself to be able to tell, be able to feel if somebody is being honest or not. That doesn't necessarily always mean that what they're saying is true, right? They could 100% believe what they're saying is true, and it very well may not be true. That could also be the case. But I wanted to find an interview where I could just see him talking and riffing and flowing. And I found one. It's like a long form interview, and I've taken out a bunch of excerpts that are pretty mind blowing when you take into consideration that all this footage I'm about to show you is from 2016. And the crazy thing, maybe crazy is not the right word. The fascinating thing here is a lot of what he was saying ties into Gnosticism, ties into things that David Icke believes. And yeah, it's just pretty wild, and also relates to the Epstein files. Again, 10 years before all this stuff had come out, or 9 years or whatever. I don't know when the Epstein files first started coming out, but we're in 2026. This is from 2016, when these types of things being discussed, people thought were absolutely insane and unfounded. So he's really blown me away as I've done a little bit of research into this guy. And a lot of things he says too just ring true on an internal, intrinsic level. And I'm already getting people in the comments being like, well, show me the validity for this. Show me the research for that. I don't want to hear it unless you can verify things. I am trying not to be skeptical for the sake of skepticism. I'm trying to just listen with an open heart. And if a lot of things can't always be verified right up front, I want to listen to see if it resonates with me logically. And sure, I want to see if I can research things more thoroughly. And I plan to do that whenever possible. But I'm not going to sit here and simply dismiss things because there's not like 13 research papers and it hasn't traveled through the formal channels, because I think a lot of formal channels have failed us. And if you want to turn off the channel or call me an idiot as a result, that's totally fine. But that's how I want to proceed on this channel, with an open mind as much as possible. And like, I am not alleging to be an expert on Max Spiers. I'm not saying that anything or everything he said was absolutely true. And in fact, he'll tell you to be skeptical of stuff he says himself, and he says he's even prone to mistakes. So I'm going to play a clip on that as well. But this guy has definitely captured my interest and my attention, and he feels like an authentic person the way he speaks. He really does. I'll just say it. That's what I feel from him. So let's get into the mix and let's talk about Max Spiers. And again, whoever it was that recommended Max Spiers to me in the comments, thank you so much, because I think this is a very interesting and noteworthy turn in my little journey here. So who was Max Spiers? Max Spiers was a British conspiracy researcher and speaker who moved in UFC, occult, and alternative investigation circles, and became known publicly after his death in Warsaw in July 2016. I'm going to talk about his death, by the way, in a second. By his own account, he did not see himself as merely a conspiracy theorist. He presented himself as someone trying to uncover hidden systems of control. And he said he had personal experience with these subjects he discussed. In interviews and talks, he described himself as someone who had been psychically and physically attacked, said he was uncomfortable with the label super soldier, yet also claimed that his mind and abilities excuse me, had been altered from childhood, that he had recovered memories of involvement in secret programs, and that his work was aimed at exposing mind control, ritual abuse, hidden power structures, and what he saw as a deeper spiritual and dimensional reality. So yeah, this guy was, by his own accounts, was trained, I believe, in astral projection and I believe remote viewing. Don't quote me on that. If it was both of them, but I know he definitely talks about astral projection and his ability to step outside and view things and learn information uh, via those experiences. And just to quickly talk about his death happened under very strange circumstances in Warsaw. In that other documentary, there was another gentleman saying there was always like multiple agents following Max around the time of his death. And then when he finally died, he was staying at a friend's house in Warsaw, and he was really sick. And they called an ambulance over, and they said before he died, he vomited this like really dark black liquid just over and over. Then they took him to the hospital, and I think he was pronounced dead at the hospital. So a bit of strange circumstances. I will also say too that he was an opioid abuser. That was something that his mother said in that same story. I think he had some injury, and when he was in the United States, he was prescribed opioids for the pain, and then eventually developed an addiction. And then she said, I think too, once he ran out of the pills, he started going to heroin, street heroin, as many opioid addicts do. And that may have been what led to his death. But I just wanted to put that out there because that is, that sounds to be, I mean, his mom said it, so I'm pretty sure that's 100% legit. And I think he did struggle with addiction. Nevertheless, we're going to hear from him directly, individually. And I'm not going to discount everything he says. And I don't think anybody should, simply because he had a drug problem. Drug problems don't necessarily make people hallucinate especially not with heroin, hallucinate all these things and ideas, but especially the fact that so much of this stuff is now ringing true today. That's what really blows my mind. So we're going to go through a bunch of excerpts that I think are really powerful. The first one, he's talking about the force that he believes is overseeing, managing, regulating part of the system that is, I guess, specifically around Earth. And it's really interesting because it ties back into the white light trap video that I made the other day, talking about the forces or the archons or whatever you want to call them, being vampiric in nature, feeding off of our energy, but not being able to create themselves. And so he talks about this exact same phenomena, same thing that David Icke talks about. And like I said, never heard of this guy, but he was talking about this 10 years ago. Check this out.
Definitely. There's so much confusion outside. There's so much confusion going on outside, and so many different people telling so many different things that, especially at the moment, what I've been trying to do, and people who I speak to, and friends of mine, and people who I work with, I have been the one thing that this particular consciousness stream that is controlling, or has its hands on controlling the planet at the moment, is vampiric in nature, which is vampiric. It's a taking energy. It's not giving energy. It doesn't have a central source where it cannot self-sustain. Has to take from others. So with all the confusion that's going on the outside, I started to find the best information when I was away from any other distractions, away from even other people, just being alone and actually allowing myself to be alone and just being with myself, without music, without television, without anything. And then sort of things, the longer I spent by myself just doing that, even without books or anything, because books are even a distraction, so things would start coming to me, and memories would start coming to me, and that sort of like quiet voice that's inside of you would start opening up, and there would be a clearer connection between me and it, even though it is one and the same thing. And so like I said, there's so many different things and so many different people saying different things. I think that to start learning to trust yourself, and then you sort of take what feels right to you and personally to you, and leave the rest alone and put the rest down.
I love that. I mean, I think that's literally what I'm trying to do right now. It's just trust myself, trust my gut, trust my intuition, trust my logic to a large degree. When he talks about this idea of putting down the distractions, getting away from TV and movies, and I guess today, again, this is in 2016, but now today, think about how wildly addicted we are to our phones. Man, you go walk outside or go to the gym, it's maddening, it's infuriating. But the thing is, even I'll catch myself doing it sometimes too, and that's the draw. But you see people walking, everybody walks with their phone out, staring at their phone. It's crazy. I wonder if they're going to ever make this illegal, because I feel like it's a hazard. It's dangerous on the streets. We're getting more and more sucked into all this distraction. 10 times worse probably than it was back in 2016. But he's saying it right here. And sometimes to really hear yourself and maybe to just connect with each other, but also connect to source, connect to other information that might be coming in through these channels. We need to shut these things out. It's funny though, he doesn't mention even books too, and I've been trying to read a lot lately, so I'm wondering if I just need to spend more time purely in deep meditation. But it also makes you think about people that go on these retreats or secluded areas, and all they do is just purely meditate. And it just makes you think about, okay, maybe, yes, you're trying to get calm, you're trying to get quiet, trying to get peace of mind, but maybe it's also about connecting. I mean, I do believe that meditation, when I'm meditating, I am trying to connect. And sometimes I see things when my eyes are closed. I don't know what to make of it. I haven't been meditating long enough, but I do believe that makes sense, that our brains maybe could be antennas of some sort, or a spirit or energy or whatever you want to call that. And so by shutting out the noise and really doing these long, deep meditations without interruptions, without books, without phones, without devices, then maybe we can connect and have access to this type of information. That's also a Gnostic principle, that the key is within each and every one of us. It's that we don't need somebody to look to. We don't need a prophet or a church or anything like that to maybe people can inspire us and give us ideas, but ultimately, like, we all have that within us. That's and that also feels good. That feels right in the grand scheme of things. We're all kind of connected, and we're all equally powerful and strong in that way. Even though we might look to Max Spiers or some of these other folks are like, oh man, these guys have that divine ability. No, we all have that. And that, I feel like that sentiment keeps getting echoed over and over. Okay, the next thing, back to this idea of the power all being within us. He himself says it. Like, I just think this is so cool. This guy just seems, you tell me what you think, but he just feels so genuine and so authentic, and not a guy out here trying to get followers, trying to blow up on different platforms like, so many people are today. I mean, hey, even I'm here out here making a YouTube channel, and it almost feels like he just didn't want any of that. Like, I don't know, it just rings true to me. And he's telling people, in fact, they shouldn't be following him. They should follow themselves. I love this message, but you guys decide for yourself how you feel about this little excerpt.
I don't like the ego part of this field either, where people like, I don't like the word followers, and that seems to come up a lot. I've got 5,000 followers, and okay, what does that really mean? I don't think anyone should really be following anybody. And you should perhaps look to self, and then trust self, and then you don't need to follow anybody.
Sure.
You sort of follow yourself, and you guide yourself. Because when you start following somebody, you're handing over your power. You're giving away your power. And the whole point and the whole mess that we're in the first place is that we've handed over our power to everybody else. And that's the issue. The vampiric consciousness that is here has created religions or sport or philosophies or any of those. They don't care particularly which one you follow or which one you attach to. It's none of their business which one you do, as long as you attach to one of them, because each one is connected to it's like a multi-headed, or maybe an octopus. So if there's a central point like that, so each of the strands come out, but they all lead to the same center point, which is a black hole essentially. It's a black hole that is pulling energy from people in any way, and they particularly like any of the religions, because that's precious energy that's given away like that. Even a lot of the big music gatherings that go on are set up ritualistically. So they don't care whether you're cheering or whether you're booing. It doesn't really matter as long as you're doing it strongly. So you, like, even Glastonbury is now set up in a specific way where the stage, it's all ritualistically done to pull energy from the people. Then they gather that energy, harvest it, and use it then to manifest the false reality that we're living in, because they can't create reality. They don't know. They don't have the creative spark themselves, but they do know how to manipulate the ones that do have it, and that's essentially what the deal is. They're manipulating this because it's the subconscious that creates the physical reality.
So this is exactly what they talk about in the white light trap. It's that the entities that are essentially, and he's talking about Loosh, right? That's another term for that energy. The entities that are taking that Loosh or harvesting it, however you want to call it, they can't actually create themselves. And so they're relying on us to create that energy and give that energy off. And then they harvest it, they drain it, and then they use it for whatever their purposes are. It also, when he talks about these ideas of sports or politics or all these other things, because I think they're really one and the same in terms of like the politics has always just felt very fishy to me from a young age, and that's why I've divorced myself from it for the most part, because it just feels like people are always picking these granular issues and not focusing on all the commonalities that we have across party lines, the Democrat, Republican. Pretty much everybody agrees that we shouldn't hurt people, we shouldn't murder people. You know, it's like we probably agree on so many things across the board that are just so obvious, but we don't focus on that. We focus on the little particulars, the little minor micro issues that cause so much debate and get people so riled up and angry. And I've always felt like it's just performative, and it seems induced, and it seems weird. Like, why? For a lot of it, I just thought it was just to distract the public or different things like that, and I just started bowing out of it and felt it was a really ridiculous charade. You watch these debates, I can't even watch it. The candidates seem like little kids. They're mudslinging and they're insulting each other. It's ridiculous. Now, if it was purely a sport of entertainment, that's something different, right? Like, you're doing it, but they're meant to be the people that are running the planet and in the highest levels of authority, and they resort to these types of tactics. It just feels so bizarre and backwards and inverted. But anyways, yeah. So it's kind of interesting when he describes it as more or less a show just to conjure up emotions and generate energy. Obviously, with sporting events and things, even stuff that I like mixed martial arts, football games, basketball games, I get what he's saying, that those types of entertainment things are just created for, or could be created for, this type of big release, and nobody cares who you're rooting for, who wins or who loses, but as long as this energy release is out there, it can be utilized. Now, of course, I think it's widely known that, that's like a deeper idea or thought about why it's being done. But I think on the surface, we've known for millennia that sports, the Coliseum, these types of things are often used to, at a minimum, distract the public, to placate the public, because it can give people something to focus on, something to look forward to, and maybe not, hey, look at this, or you don't look over here and see what's wrong. No, just look at this cool sporting event, or look at this cool entertainment event. And so it definitely can be used in that way, but it's very interesting that he describes it also as a mechanism by which to generate this Loosh, the same stuff that David Icke talks about. Another really cool excerpt, beautiful message. Trust yourself, man. I'm still working on this on a daily basis, on a hourly basis, to trust myself more, to believe in myself more. Just a beautiful message here. Check this out.
And when you mentioned followers,
yes,
again, it's not about followers, because every one of those people are individuals with their own uniqueness to find.
Yes.
And what you're doing is sharing your uniqueness.
Yeah. Yes.
But you don't want people to copycat.
No, I don't. Definitely don't. And I want also people to discard what they don't agree with what I'm saying. If it doesn't fit for them, fantastic. Then let that bit go. That's okay as well. And I'm definitely nowhere near 100% correct. I know that I'm pointing in the right direction.
Yes.
That I definitely know.
Yes.
So it is parasitic, the consciousness that's here. Sometimes I see it as imagery of like maggots like a maggoty sort of energy that's sort of like, it just eats through, its mind is about, its thought pattern is conquer and destroy. And that's what it does, and that's what it's done to other planets too. And that's what it's trying on this. So this particular planet, they want us all as well to think that this is an insignificant place in the middle of a universe, in the middle of a super universe, a tiny little dot that's, when it isn't. This particular planet, Earth, is an anagram for heart. So this planet here is the one that they want to take control of. So they want to take control of the heart. The human heart is connected to the earth. And that's the one that they can't. It's very easy to control the base chakra, because that's mainly what's driven through television and media all the time. That's all its base is always, or like, primal energy, bestial energy is sort of always invoked, and they can sort of feed from that. But it's the heart energy that they really want, and they really want to take over.
And they're not.
The one interesting thing that I'm thinking about as I'm listening to this, because he's talking about this type of vampiric consciousness that's essentially extracting, let's just call it loosh. But it's a little different, or maybe it's not. Maybe I don't know how to reconcile the two yet. And I'd love comments on this for people that are knowledgeable about this. But it does sound a little unique from the Gnostic narrative of, there's this demiurge, the craftsman, who created the material world, which I took to mean like the universe as is. But maybe there's varied interpretations of that. But and so created it and then built the material world as a place to have our essence reside in these physical bodies and whatever. Whereas I feel like the way he's talking about it here is, it almost sounds like a collection of consciousness or some other race or something like that has come and commandeered the planet. Like the planet doesn't have to necessarily be in this cycle of pain and torment and corruption, but it's placed in this paradigm via manipulation. But there's theoretically like a way that we could be free of that manipulation, and then the material world wouldn't be so backwards. So let me know if you're kind of feeling that same way. Like, it's not exactly, it's a bit of a different narrative than the Gnostic narrative. So I'm just interested to learn more. I'd love to, maybe as I do more digging. I had a pretty hard time finding stuff on Max Spiers beyond this video of just like a straight interview. But maybe I'll see if I couldn't find any books written by him either. I wonder if he's written any books that maybe are out there but not listed on Amazon. But I'd love to get a little bit more into the weeds of what his big picture idea was of how everything fits together. Is it related at all to Gnosticism or not? Because there's remnants of it there's pieces of it that remind me of Gnosticism, and then others don't seem to mesh, I think, from what I know so far. Not an expert by any means. Anyways, let's keep going. Now, this next clip, he talks about they, meaning the vampiric consciousness, want us to be like them. So it's almost like we internally or intrinsically don't want to be this way. And when I say like them, it's basically going towards more of these psychopathic tendencies, less connection between us, less empathy, and they're commandeering and they're moving or nudging us into that direction more so decade by decade. It's very interesting because, like, I do feel that seems to be happening since the time that I grew up and was born and have grown up. It does seem like we're constantly getting more and more and more disconnected from each other, whether it's via technology or these other means. I mean, and again, this is 10 years ago.
Well, they use, especially like the Grand Theft Auto games, I don't like, people definitely will know what they are. It allows you to go and be brutal as you like, on a very sort of realistic scene. You can go and attack just anybody on the street, and you can drive and you can run people over, and so it sort of starts to slowly erode the natural empathy that human beings have. That's just one of the angles that they're having to get rid of it. They don't want, they want to make us like them.
Yes, and it's desensitizing our natural state of being.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I've seen it myself where you've got somebody in the street being beaten up by somebody else, and everybody walks past. No one wants to get involved. You know, you'll get one brave soul that will step in.
Yes.
When perhaps in the 70s and early 80s, before all the technology came in, there would have been a lot of people that would have come to the aid.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And there's been like a heavy push in the last like decade and a half to really, because their time's running out. They don't have very much time left, to put this plan into place. And it also ties into transhumanism, and you know, because if they can get tech into the human being, as much tech as they can into the human being, then they can start taking, you know, separating the heart faster. That's why, you know, there's a big push for atheism now. It's not none of my business what anybody believes, but there's a calculated agenda behind it.
But it's still cutting us off that we're only here and this is all we are.
Yeah, exactly. And it's reinforcing that lie, that birth and death and that's it lie. Yeah. A lot of these guys don't want to die either, because then they sort of would have to face up a lot of stuff that they've done. So they have technology. The technology that they have age regression technology. So they can do that stuff. A lot of the Third Reich is still continued on and still continued going.
Okay, a lot of stuff there to unpack. So I want to back it up. And I know you might be thinking age regression. What the heck is he talking about? I actually have heard a couple of people talking about age regression on Gaia TV. I have not looked at it in depth. I do not know how credible these accounts are of age regression technology whatsoever. So I'm not going to really talk about it. But just going back to the idea of, he's talking about GTA, which is crazy because it's still around and still so popular today. All these multiple versions, it's still one of like the most popular games. Obviously, I don't think that like GTA was created by a particular video game company. I mean, it's created by people, but I think the question is, it's not about this one individual thing. Because if you're like, what is he talking about? GTA was just created by a group of people and put out there, and it was a successful game. People liked it. Like, there's no agenda behind it. And I would agree with that, of course, as well. But I think what you could argue is there generally seems to be a push or an encouragement. And you might say, well, yeah, there's just a push or encouragement for this type of content, whether it's in movies or video games, because it sells. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that, you know, if you would have introduced this like 60 or 70 years ago, people would have been like, what is this? This is disgusting. This is filthy. But it's like a slow infiltration of this type of content it's a question of the chicken or the egg. What came first? Did we crave this type of content? Because I really don't think we do. I think war is not natural or not normal, but I think with a slow introduction and exposure to this stuff, we kind of, at first it's like a little bit weird, maybe like drinking alcohol for the first time. At first it's gross, it's a little bit weird, but then you start to get a taste for it, and then you start to slowly desire it and crave it. Maybe it's something along those lines, because it has been this gradual progression of the ramping up of more and more and more violent games and violent movies. So I think it could be something along those lines, if there is some broader agenda to try and slowly encourage it or bring it into the mainstream more and more. And again, whether it's just because it sells or it's for this larger overarching agenda from a larger force, I can't say for sure, but I think I'm just trying to explain how it could still make sense what he's saying, even though it might seem a little bit far-fetched. Yeah. So anyways, let's move on to the next clip. Here he talks about addiction, and I just wanted to share this part because he doesn't talk about it in this video, but he talks about it was, as I mentioned, an opioid addict, and he talks about addiction being a part of basically a lot of people that he's saying are used in these super secret or top secret or above top secret programs involving astral projection, involving remote viewing, and he explains why addiction tends to be a component of the people that are selected for these programs.
Is directly tied to all of this stuff. So you have all of these rehabs that are all, especially in the US, a lot of them are, you know, reprogramming centers, because they know that they're going to magnetically draw to them people who've been through these projects, because trauma-based mind control creates addiction. Sexual abuse creates opiate addiction. And so, you know, that, so they know what they're doing. It's like they do it, then they create the problem, and the solution is there, but it's their solution. Then they draw them to it. And if somebody starts to wake up, or somebody starts to realize, you know, what's going on, they gather them in, pull them in again.
And so they're reprogramming as well.
Do some tweaking again to make sure that they, you know, so that, because if somebody wakes up too much, they're either going to make sure they're not around anymore, or maybe they'll either kill them, or they'll assassinate their character, or they will make them seem as if they're completely insane, so nobody pays any attention to what they say.
And we've seen some of that with some of the Hollywood stars.
What, absolutely 100%. Yeah, lots of them. When the programming breaks down, it's pretty intense, you know, because it will throw you into a spin like nothing else. Like you've literally, you know, you lost your mind. And that's happened to quite a few Hollywoods. I mean, Britney Spears is a good example, actually.
It's kind of interesting food for thought. And I'm sure we can think of other Hollywood celebrities or things like that have had these breaks. It's just a fascinating point. Again, I don't know enough about it to really comment intelligently, but I think it's just a fascinating thing that he mentioned there. This is an uplifting segment. He actually says that the majority of work is done, meaning for the good fight for, I guess, our spiritual, emotional liberation. He's saying that the majority of work is done. So I want to share this as a note of positivity.
I believe, and I truly believe this, I believe that the war is already finished. And I believe that we already overcame it, and it's done already. The majority of the work has been done by the volunteer consciousness that has come down here to help waken everybody up. The majority of the work has been done. So now we're just playing it out, but the storyline is being played out, and we're watching, and it is a storyline. It is a storyline. Everything that you watch on the television that's going on with politics is a storyline. Okay.
Interesting, right? And again, this is 10 years ago in 2016, and man, so much more has happened. So many people, I think, are, whatever you want to call that process, waking up, being more aware of some of what's going on behind the veil. I think the Epstein files coming out has been a huge wake up, although even some people are still a bit oblivious to it, or not really fully acknowledging some of the crazy things that are coming out there. And obviously still a lot of it, vast majority of it, still hasn't even been released. But yeah, it's interesting. And when he talks about these outside forces, I wonder, because he doesn't say explicitly, but I wonder if he's referring to this notion of star seeds, of like other consciousnesses coming in and agreeing to be born on this planet to try and wake the consciousness and try and help the consciousness. I wonder if that's what he's referring to. But there you go. A nice little message of positivity 10 years ago. And I think more has even happened since. Now, this is really fascinating, what he says here. The paradigm is inverted. I made a video talking about this a couple months ago, maybe, just noting how backwards everything is seeming on this planet. And you might say, what are you talking about? This is just life. This is normal. Yeah, we have some bad people seem to be in power, a lot of psychopaths in power, but those are the people that are cutthroat. They're motivated. They're this, they're that. And you can say that because we're so used to this planet, and that seems to be how things run. But just like he's talking about trust yourself. I mean, I started thinking about this. Just look inside yourself. Be like, does that make sense that we want people who are just, oh yeah, as a politician, politicians lie, of course, like what, no surprise here. It's like, is that the people that we want to elect just because maybe they have certain degrees, or maybe they're somewhat higher on the intelligence spectrum, that's what we want? People that are just lying constantly during campaigns, during speeches, that you could just feel are so fake and inauthentic. Like, that's so weird that's just allowed in our society, that we lie on food labels, we lie in advertisements, that everything is just so backwards to what we know, I think internally, morally, we feel should be on this planet. He mentions that exactly. right here. You tell me in the comments if you agree with that. But like, if you really sit down and think about the planet and just get in touch with yourself and stop being like, but that's how it always is. That's just life. You're crazy. Just get in touch with what resonates with you internally. Everything is backwards. It's literally clown world. It's literally clown world.
It's completely inverted in every possible sense. Everything that is here, everything they do is inverted. The justice system, the teaching system, the political system is all inverted, perfectly inverted. They even speak inversion. Basically, the way they speak, you can pretty much be sure what they say. If you go with the exact opposite, then you're going to get the truth. So we can build a new paradigm, but we'd have to all align our consciousness with a lot I was going to say loving nature, but that's sort of maybe too simple.
Contribution as well, where we're all contributing.
And giving nature, or a natural giving and taking nature, which would then create a paradigm of compassion and empathy and kindness, and so where everybody sort of takes care of everybody else, because they understand that you are actually me. And that we have an intrinsic understanding of that. So you would never want to harm yourself. So it's a lot of healing has to be done to self, to know that that you can be kind to yourself and loving to yourself, and then you can create a paradigm where it's just naturally giving and taking and balanced, and so we sort of like align ourselves that way.
How can you not just listen to this guy and think some of the stuff he's saying is just awesome? He's talking about, I mean, whatever you want to say about what you think of some of his stories, whether or not they can be verified, or whether or not you believe. I mean, but forget about all that. Just these types of messages, it's just so pure and simple. And he's not trying to get you to buy into a specific religion. He's telling you to just look inside yourself, believe in yourself, and that's it. He's not saying you have to believe in him or any other entity or deity. And then he's just saying that we need to really open up and be more giving and love each other. So right on. You know, when sometimes these messages are couched in this, and therefore you need to accept this person as your savior, or that person as your spiritual guru, or whatever, right? You know, like that always feels forceful, feels inauthentic, feels awkward to me. But like what this guy is saying to me when he's giving those messages, I don't know. You tell me what you guys think, but that just feels positive and beautiful and uplifting. Now this, once again, it just goes back to this. It goes back to the name of this channel. It goes back to Pink Tourmaline. I just can't believe whenever I find these little nuggets, it's like it just reminds me of how crazy it is that this crystal came to me, became the name of the channel. And I feel as though so much of the message that I'm receiving and learning and gathering throughout this whole process is just not even about loving each other, just about loving ourselves. Like that just keeps coming back as such a central and important message. But anyways, I'll let Max explain in his own words.
It's like nobody accepts themselves. Nobody really truly accepts themselves. We are all finding, imperfections and when we do truly accept ourselves, that vampiric consciousness will sort of cease to exist anymore, because it can only exist if we don't like ourselves.
Yes.
And this is part of it's just the id, or the dark side of self. Really, yes. It's just a reflection of the way we feel about ourselves.
Yes.
So if we change the way that we feel about ourselves, it will change.
Mm-hmm.
So wild. Like essentially saying that that's at the heart of the whole thing. Yeah. Like I said, I just continue to be amazed that message keeps popping up, and I don't know. I think that's just such a key factor, whether you want to talk about it on a existential level or just a happiness level of living this life to its fullest. Just love yourself, because how can you get somebody else to love you or anybody else to believe in you if you do not love yourself? And I'm sure there's degrees to that. I don't know if it's possible to get rid of all the voices in your head that are criticizing yourself, but maybe that's not a final destination that we can reach, but it's something that we should continuously strive for each and every day. Man, every time I hear that, it hits so hard. The truth is in here. Truth is in here. This resonates with the Gnostic principle as well. It's all in here. The kingdom of heaven is within you. I think that's a quote from Jesus in the scriptures from like Nag Hammadi.
The planet of amnesia, that's for sure. And where everybody's walking around having no clue who they really are. Finding out, definitely looking. They saying like that was been pushed in the X-Files, like the truth is out there. So the truth is actually right here, not out there.
Truth is in here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not out there. You don't have to go searching outside. Yes. It's all already layered in your cells and in your DNA and in your core self and in your soul self. It's there already. So it's about going inside. So there's a bit of trickery there.
Yes.
But by using that.
Makes me think I should be reading less and meditating more again, right? I'm going to still be reading because I still think I have a ton of stuff to learn. I'm very new still in all of this, but yeah, wow. Meditate more, reflect more. It's all inside of us. Okay, this is a fascinating segment as well. He talks about this idea of what the system essentially wants to be happening all the time, and it kind of feels like that's what's happening, especially right now. We're in some crazy times. They want order out of chaos.
They want to get that information out. Truly, I think they do. So because what they're trying to do is create. So their motto is ordo ab chaos, which means order out of chaos. So that in the final stages of their plan, they want to have as much chaos as possible, including a race war, which they've been trying to put together for a long time.
What I've noticed as well since 9/11 is the paranoia. And no one trusts anyone.
No.
You smile in the street to a stranger. There is suspicion immediately in many people's minds and thinking, are you about to mug me?
Yeah, I know.
What are you going to do? It was just a friendly smile. You used to do that all the time.
I know. Yeah.
And people also, you could be on the underground, on the trains, everybody's plugged into something. There's no conversations, there's no interaction. And we as humans are sociable creatures.
Well, technology is also about isolating. They want to isolate as much as possible so that you don't connect with one another. They definitely don't want you to connect with one another at all.
Imagine they're saying this in 2016. Imagine how much worse. I mean, look at how much worse it's gotten now. It's wild that he's talking about this because now, and I think in another clip he talks about the transhumanism part about essentially becoming one with machines, and that probably sounded a little crazy in 2016. Not anymore. It's happening. It's exactly what's happening, and AI is going crazy, and people are already talking about integrating AI with us. Like, dude, it's wild that he was talking about because people probably thought it was nuts. A lot of people thought it was everything he was saying was nuts, and it gets crazier with some of these later clips. I'm going to show you the stuff he was talking about back then that relates to a lot of things that have come out very recently. Okay. This is one of those clips. Normalizing, you probably know what that word is. I think he might say it in this video, but I'm not going to say it. Holy smokes. Okay, and a lot of this talk prior to the Epstein files coming out, people were like, yeah, what the heck are you talking about? This is insane. You're a nut. There's no proof of this. There's no evidence of this. What are you talking about? This company or this fashion brand is promoting it. Like, you're nuts. There's no credibility to this. Then the Epstein files come out, and then we see all these people participating in this nonsense. Listen to this. 2016, Max Spiers talks about this.
And one thing I couldn't believe on Family Guy, one of the characters is like a pedophile, and it's funny, and it's supposed to be funny. Yeah, it's like it's laughed at.
How is that funny?
The guy, this is an old man who is predatorial to the children.
And so it's normalizing it.
Yes.
I mean, what I've noticed myself.
That's part of the new world Part of their new world system is to totally normalize that pedophilia, and they're slowly making children more adult.
Yeah.
So that they're dressing
sexualizing children for quite some time.
Yeah, but it's really pushed now.
Crazy. Before all the stuff came out, but like I said, even maybe 4 or 5 years ago, people like, what the heck is this guy talking about? Now, not so much. He also talks about this notion related to that whole concept of hundreds of thousands of children going missing every year, which again links into that stuff he was just talking about and the Epstein files, etc., that's now all coming to light.
Children that are going missing each year around the world.
It's unbelievable.
Where are the parents for all the, there should be outrage. Everybody knows about Magdalene.
Madeline.
But where are all these other parents?
Right.
And there should be questions.
Hundreds of thousands of children go missing a year.
Humanity, for it to exist and continue on, should be looking after their young, because our young are our future.
Well, yes, definitely. But the attack on the children is to attack the innocence of the human being. In attacking the innocence then attacks the heart.
Yes.
So that's another attack on the heart of the human being. It's really, really awful. And essentially what they do to children is what's being done to human beings, the human race as a collective. We're being abused as a collective that way.
Yes.
So it's just a microcosm of what is being done on a grand scale.
Like that part, I don't fully understand, and maybe somebody can explain this to me, but is he saying that this behavior by this other consciousness or whatever this vampiric force is, they want that behavior because then is he saying that then it like allows them to do what they're doing to us as a result, as a population? Or is he just saying it's a microcosm or it's a mirror? Like that's the part that I just don't understand the full connection to everything. Anyways, so I'm just saying, maybe I need to do more research, but if anybody has any insights on what you think he is like, what's the significance of that microcosm that he's discussing, please let me know in the comments. And now 2016, talking about Epstein, talking about the people in power, all these folks that are high up, whether it's in Hollywood or politics or, and it's all coming out now to be true that they all have this preference for, what.
People sort of still don't accept it though.
Yes.
They don't want to believe that their idols from when this was very calculated. This is done very calculated. This was done to once again break the human heart. So you have all these people that we grow up with watching on television who we think are wonderful and great, and then it was set up so that 20 years down the line we find out that they're actually predatorial, despicable human beings. That's a hit on the heart again, and so people don't want to accept that. And I even did a post, the other day, connected to another celebrity that had died. There was a string of celebrities that seemed like died all of a sudden, and who I believe is connected to this ring that connected to the BBC, and people were outraged and angry that I would dare to say that this public figure who had been so seemingly wonderful all the years would even do anything like that. People don't want that. People don't want. A lot of people would even rather die than that be true.
So but we're living in the era now of truth and transparency. That's where we're moving into, and so there is going to be a pain and readjusting of understanding how reality has been working behind the scenes for a very long time.
We're going through into the mode of where the unseen becomes seen.
Yes.
And it's like the veil completely gets pulled away.
Yes.
So that is going to be in and of itself traumatizing to the collective mind. So it's and I actually believe that some people are not even when it's right in front of their face, still not going to believe it.
I mean, again, he's saying this in 2016, but it's real. Like, I think it would have been hard for a lot of people listening to it at that time to even believe what he's saying is happening. It's here. It's happening. And very much like he said, I think a lot of people are still oblivious right now. I think a lot of people aren't even paying attention to all the stuff that's coming out, right? For somebody like me who's had my finger on the pulse to some extent since 2014 to all these other things, it's a little bit different. But there's a lot of folks that just simply watch MSNBC, CNN, you know, the mainstream news sources and whatnot, and then now are getting bombarded with this information, and they just kind of brush it off. They're not really paying, they're not blown away as they should be that all the stuff is now coming out and it's right there, and still the vast majority of it hasn't even been released. So crazy. I just still can't believe. I'm just so blown away that this guy was talking about this way back when. And I'm more blown away as well that I hadn't even heard of this guy until 2 days ago. Crazy. Never heard of him. And I wonder if you guys have heard of him. So there's my first little deep dive into Max Spiers from this really cool video, Max Spiers Unplugged. If you guys have more resources on him or more things that I should investigate as I continue down all these windy paths, please let me know, because I'm definitely curious about him and would like to know more about his story and some of the things that he said. And maybe if there's other videos that are out there, I think that'd be really cool. But please let me know your thoughts about him and this whole video in the comments. And also, please keep the information coming. You guys are been such an amazing source of recommendations and ideas. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough times. Please let me know more things that I should investigate. A bunch of books arrived this weekend, so I still got to finish Adventures Beyond the Body, but then I have so many other books to get to, and I'll keep sharing information as I uncover it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.